Hi friends and new friends. I'm Christopher Carruthers, also known as Tao Satoshi. You may have noticed that I've been talking a little bit more about HEX lately. I'm still a fan of Dash, this channel will remain focused on it, but I'm excited to bring you more information about this other innovative project that is laying claim to the title of First Certificate of Deposit on the Blockchain. Find out more on this episode of Cash Alternative TV. So what is Cash Alternative TV, other than that catchy jingle? Well, it's a show about cryptocurrency with a focus on Dash, which aims to be a digital cash for the world, or an alternative to cash. If that's something that interests you, you want to learn more about Dash, or just want to hang out with me some more, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss an episode. Now into the topic of today's show. HEX, much like Dash, has received a bad rap on crypto social media by people who are quick to call it a scam. I guess that's one reason why I've become partial to HEX. Because like Dash, once you look beyond the surface and get more information about it, you can see it's pretty cool with lots of neat features that can help you make money. So what exactly is HEX from the 30,000 foot view? It's known as the first blockchain certificate of deposit, an immutable smart contract ERC20 token built on the Ethereum blockchain. It was created on December 2nd, 2019 by a well-known Bitcoin community figure, Richard Hart. It differentiates from other crypto projects by having been launched as a complete and functional project. There aren't any promises of future developments. It simply does exactly what it was designed to do. This finished product code has been put through 3 independent audits, 2 for security and 1 for economics. As such, you can always have confidence that HEX will do what it says it will do and use it with confidence. So what does HEX do exactly? Well, as a time deposit, HEX monetizes time in a way not seen before in a cryptocurrency. When you enter into a HEX staking contract, you burn your HEX and receive shares in future inflation of the coin. The game theory in HEX shares is such that it rewards longer time commitments to hold the coin, thereby keeping those coins off the market. It also rewards larger stakes, but not to such a degree as longer ones. When you initiate a HEX contract, it's like you're saying to the network, I pledge to hold this amount of HEX for this amount of time. And the network says, great, if that's the case, I will reward you with this amount of shares. Available term lengths vary from 1 to 5,555 days. This is all done on the client side too, and there's no need to hand over your private keys to a centralized entity to enjoy those rewards. Let's play around with it for a bit. Okay, so you start the process by getting a MetaMask account. So here, as you can see, this is a MetaMask account. You go into your Google Chrome or your Microsoft Edge store, and you can get a MetaMask wallet, and that's where you interact with the HEX contract. So this is it, and then you can see here on the top right I have a MetaMask extension. So that's going to connect with the gohex.com. So here's the HEX stake page. It's at go.hex.com. People are wondering, people ask me, isn't HEX centralized because you have to go to a centralized site to use it? And that's not exactly true. So what gohex.com is just it's a manifestation of the smart contract. It's like a front end of the smart contract. But you can do it on any website. You can make it your own, or you can do it on EtherScan, or you can do it on a whole bunch of different websites. So this is basically just the easiest way to interact with it. But if this site went down, this particular site went down, you'd have other ways of accessing the contract. So it says I have to connect my wallet in order to go through the stuff that's on this website, in order to go through the contract. So I'm just going to go over here and click connect. It's going to ask me if I want to connect to the website. And I do, so I click next. And all it does is allow me to view the addresses of your permitted accounts. So I'm going to click connect. And it's connecting to the website. So I don't have any HEX right now on this particular address because I'm just doing this as a run through. But you're going to see here how you can use the HEX contract and what the HEX contract entails. So before we do that, I'm going to go to over here. This is the transfer lobby. So for the first little while, this is the transform lobby over here. So for the first little while, they had it was called an AA, an adoption amplifier. So they had, you could put in Ether, and you could actually get it to swap into HEX directly. So it kind of depended on what day you signed up for it. If you signed up for it on a good day, it would have lots of ETH, or lots of, not very many ETH, so you would have lots of HEX. So basically there was, actually I think it was like 500 million HEX every day approximately. And then it depended how many ETH was put into the AA lobby. So if one day you came in and there was not much ETH, it would actually translate into a lot of HEX. So I believe day 33 was the one that had a lot of people, not a lot of people join. So there was not very many ETH. And I think it was like 1.8 million HEX per ETH. So it was pretty cool. And they had a reference program that's not going on right now. That was only going on for the first year. And that's why there was so much interest in the first year, because a lot of people were out there promoting HEX. And I believe that there's a third-party app that's going to be doing referrals in the future. So we better keep an eye open for that. There's a BTC claim. So if you came with BTC, you can get a certain amount of HEX. But you had to act quickly to get the most over time. As is with everything in this coin, there's a lot of game theory. So over time, the amount of BTC you put in had to increase to get the same amount of HEX. So they took a snapshot of the Bitcoin blockchain, and if you had access to those keys, then you could. They say, okay, you had like 1 Bitcoin, that entitled you to 10,000 HEX. So as you can see here, the claim phase is ended. So if you wanted to just do a straight transfer from ETH into HEX, you could do that here. And this is the main page that you're going to be interacting with as a HEX contract user. So basically, you're going to put in the amount of HEX that you want to stake, the amount of time that you want to stake, and then the smart contract does the calculations, and you can figure out how long you want to go. So we're going to play around with the contract a little bit and see what comes out. We're going to say I want to put 10,000 HEX, and I want to stake it for, let's say, 10 days. So the smart contract does the calculations, and it gives us some bonuses. Longer pays better in HEX, as I mentioned. So you get an extra 49.45 HEX added onto your total. Now, doesn't mean you're going to get that extra HEX. It just means that's to calculate the amount of shares you're going to get. That's giving you that extra bonus, right? So you can basically buy more T-shares with your money. And the bigger pays better. This is not a very big contract. This is not a very big stake. So I'm only going to get 0.06 HEX extra, which is basically nothing. So your effective HEX, which you're buying the T-shares with, is going to be 10,049. And right now the share price is 16,731. So the amount of T-shares I'm going to get is 0.6. I'm going to get 0.6 T-shares. So that means every day I'm going to get a share of the inflation going forward of 0.6 shares for 10 days. So if I fulfill that entire 10-day contract, I'm going to get the amount of HEX per day times 10 days plus the original investment. So that's what I'm going to get. So let's say if I add a 0 onto it, I'm feeling generous, so I want to do 100,000. So now I get a little bit more bonuses, right? Because I had a bigger stake. I still have the same amount of time, so the stakes aren't going to go up that much. The bonuses aren't going to go up that much. So I have 494, sorry, I'm making it all messy here. 494.5 HEX is my longer pays better, because I'm hardly doing a long contract at all. And the bigger pays better is now giving me 6.66 HEX. So it's a tiny bit more, but it's still next to nothing. So my total is 501. The total bonuses are 501. So the total effective HEX is 100,000.501. Same share price. So now I get six units of stakes. I get 6 T-shares, or what they're called. So let's see, the longer pays better really affects it a lot more. So let's see if I'm going to go up to, I'm going to add a 0 onto this. So I'm going to do 100 days. Now see, now it jumped up quite a bit. So now the longer pays better is now up to 5,439, which was, it was only like 500 or something before. And the bigger pays better is the same because I haven't increased the amount that I'm staking. So now I'm going to get 6.3 T-shares instead of only 6. So this adds up over time, right? The more you put in, the more you get out of it. So now I'm going to add another 0 to the stake length. So see, it jumped up to 9 T-shares because it went through all the calculations again. So now I'm risking more. I'm putting it for a longer time. I'm not trying to come in, get rich quick. I'm delaying my gratification. So now I'm getting rewarded more. I'm getting more T-shares. So every day, as long as I keep that contract, it's going to keep giving me the 9.257 amount of T-shares times the daily payout. Right now, the daily payout's around 6. So I'll be getting maybe like 54 HEX per day for the 1,000 days that I do it. So when I unlock that contract, it's going to be quite a bit of HEX. So now we're going to add another 0 onto this. So see, now we've got 1 million. We're staking 1 million for 1,000 days. Same share price. The share price doesn't change unless you move to another day, and then it's going to go up. Share price keeps going up. So now you have 92.6, and you're going to get 92.6 of value every day. So as you can see, the bigger pays better is actually definitely, or the longer pays better gives you more. How do you say it? It gives you more of a boost when it comes to the T shares. So we're going to do fun. The longest one you can possibly do right now on the HEX contract is 5,555. So see, now you're running into some serious bonuses. So you're going to get 2 million HEX extra. So you're basically just right on top. So I'm only putting in 1 million, but my longer pays better is giving me double that. So basically it's subsidizing me for double what I put in. And of course the bigger pays better stays the same. It's the same length. Sorry, the same amount, sorry. So your effective HEX that you buy those T-shares with is now 3 million. So I'm going to get 179.341 T-shares. So that means, like, over this life, it's over 15 years of this contract. If I want to delay my gratification, I have something to save for in 15 years, my child's education or something like that. I want to put those for 5,555 days. Now I'm going to get 179.341 of T-shares times 6. Right now it's 6, but as of the game theory in HEX, the payments for the T-shares go up higher because people can't replace those T-shares. There's so much to explain with HEX, it's hard to do it in one video. But yeah, so there's not going to be as many T-shares moving forward because people can't replace the amount of T-shares because the price keeps going up. So that means that there's going to be less T-shares, so the payment is going to be bigger because the lesser pot of T-shares for the same amount of inflation. So over time, that's going to pay you a lot. So if you're willing to delay your gratification, right away you're probably going to make 3 times up to 5 times your money in that length of time, and that's not even including the amount of HEX appreciation, because it's going to be used by more and more people. Once people see this game theory in action and they stop calling it a scam, it has more time length and everything else, you're going to see a lot of people using HEX. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. I'm going to get back to the main video now. Cheers. So now that we're in the contract, let's examine 2 examples. One where you honor your commitment to the network, and one where you don't. You decided to stake 10,000 HEX for 10 days. This is a very short time commitment, so you only receive 0.6 T-shares, or trillion shares. The average payout for T-shares at the time of this recording is 6 HEX per day, which would give you around 3.6 HEX per day. So at the end of the 10 days successfully served, you would have been granted the opportunity to mint your own HEX from the network. You would get your 10,000 initial HEX back, and you would receive an additional 36 HEX for your deposit in time. This results in an APY of around 13.1% in HEX, even for such a short time commitment, not accounting for future price growth. As we've seen, longer and larger stakes pay significantly better, rewarding a more significant commitment. Now let's assume that you were a bad boy or girl, but let's face it, no girls are watching this, and you didn't keep your commitment like you said you would. The smart contract will look at your commitment time and the amount you staked and charge you a penalty to end the stake prematurely. Penalties can eat into your interest and your principal, and in some cases, you could lose the entire thing. So be sure to not run afoul of the truth engine. Honor your commitments to stake your HEX and you will be fine, as you'll be handsomely rewarded for longer and larger stakes. Don't be that guy that we often see committing to multi-year terms, only to early end stake and blow his entire investment. The stakers who do keep their commitments do have a special place in their heart for these impatient people, though. You see, when you pay the penalty for ending your stake early, it gets divided evenly among all the other active shares at the time. So that becomes another reason to honor your term. Now the shares themselves become more expensive over time, as I mentioned in the tutorial, as they increase in HEX after each stake ends. This is another part of HEX game theory which will always reward earlier stakers. Newcomers with more money can't come in and receive better payout percentages than existing stakes. Every aspect of time in HEX is monetized. Remember when I said that there's a penalty for ending a stake early? Well, there's also one for ending it late. You get a 2-week grace period to end your stake and mint your new HEX. After that, the contract will subtract 1% per week from your total payout until it disappears. These penalties also go to the stakers that remain within the parameters of the smart contract. So as you can see, every aspect of HEX mimics a legacy certificate of deposit, with the exception of the fact that it's completely decentralized, self-serve, and the penalties go to other users, not the bank. Now let's look at the intangibles of HEX. Due to the efforts of Richard Hart and his team, a very passionate community has been built around HEX. This community gets out there daily to promote it, doing daily live streams and tweets to get the word out. Everything you can imagine in the community has been great. There's been lots of disinformation about HEX out there, with some calling it a Ponzi or a scam. I've done my research into the criticisms and found them to be baseless. As a Dash community member, I can relate to having to explain the project every day to those who have been misled by gatekeepers. The most glaring example of this gatekeeping is CoinMarketCap, that keeps HEX on the 3rd page when it should rightfully be in the top 20, even having reached top 5 at one point. The HEX user base is growing every day, and there's lots of room for price to appreciate, as it's only a 1-year-old coin. I recommend doing your due diligence into this coin and discover the game theory around time that makes it a superior store of value. You'll find links to HEX and Richard Hart's socials in the description below. Well, that's it for me today. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and click the bell if you want to see more from me in Cash Alternative TV episodes. Until next time, remember, Dash is a digital alternative to cash, and becoming more so every day. Bye for now.